it doesn't matter what you say. It only matters what people hear. And the focus so often in communication is on putting together the best speech possible. And yet what really matters, and this is why I cannot ever speak from podiums, is that I want to be out there because I want to see people. I want to be able to look at their eyes. And you do that every time. The litigators here, every time you're doing this stuff for the jury, I'm going to give this photographer one great shot now. Good. First thing you got to understand is what the American people, how they react to things and what they're doing. The fact is that 4 times as many Americans can name the Three Stooges as name 3 members of the Supreme Court. In fact, more people can name all 5 Stooges. Who's Stooge 4? Shemp. Who's Stooge 5? This guy watches way too much television. Are you a partner? Not yet. For the partners in the back, I'll get you his name when we're done. So if we're not watching, if we're not paying attention to things that really matters, it is so important to get the language right. Look, would you support raising taxes for law enforcement? Half of Americans would say yes. But would you support higher taxes to halt the rising crime rate? 2/3 would say yes. Law enforcement is the process. Rising crime rate is the result. You always focus on the result because Americans don't care how you get there. They just want to know that you actually do get there. I love this one. By 2-to-1, the American people think that we're spending too much money on welfare. But by 7-to-1, they think we're spending too little money on assistance to the poor. What the heck is welfare? And yet we know it because we've so demonized the program, but we still believe in the process.
1. Innovation, invention, creativity, automation, productivity. These are powerful words that transcend the red line and the green line. Never do politicians speak where both Republicans and Democrats agree. It doesn't happen anymore. We can't even go out for dinner because usually between the appetizer and the main course, food ends up on everyone. We haven't learned to cooperate on innovation. There is no differentiation between Republicans and Democrats and between the 21-year-old and the 81-year-old because everyone defines innovation their own way. Governor Napolitano, when you communicate right here the consequences of failure, this is perfect language. Let's take a look.
Part of innovation is recognizing that there will be failures. There will be research projects into new pharmas, and that new drug doesn't work. The tests don't play out. There'll be research into a new kind of material to make a more energy efficient, say, housing material, and it turns out, A, it's not cheap, or it's not manufacturable, or both, or what have you. Those things happen. So when you're talking about fostering innovation, you're building that already into your calculus. And by the way, more people ought to be taking calculus.
The things that got us here
keep going.
Will not get us there. And I believe that. And if we don't innovate, we're going to die. I think literally and figuratively, the race is on to try to bring forward next generation technologies and applications and ideas and inventions. And if Minnesota and America aren't leaders in that effort, we're going to be left behind. And that's going to be to great detriment to our people and the citizens that we serve.
Now, if we don't innovate, we're going to die. Is there something you want to tell us?
I've talked enough about that today.
You're much too young. What this is about the future. And Governor Sebelius, when you talk about your children, you've personalized innovation in a way that people can feel it and they understand it. By the way, we conducted these interviews using innovative technologies so that I wasn't in the room with her when I was asking her questions. She was holding up a phone, and she will see in a moment. The language is perfection because it is personal, it is human, and most importantly, it is aspirational. For those of you, I see a few people taking notes. The power of innovation is that it helps people, it allows them to inspire and aspire to things that are greater.
Here are the 21 words for the 21st century, and I'm only going to do a few of them here right now. The word in the upper left-hand side, imagine, the most powerful word in the English language right now. If I were to ask you, imagine your American dream, imagine perfection, imagine the future, when I use the word imagine, it's no longer from my perspective, it's now from yours. It's your imagination. You think about how you're communicating, whether in court or in life. The word imagine puts it in the perspective of the other person rather than you. And imagine is both powerful in a positive way and a negative way, because we can imagine some pretty awful things in life as well as some pretty good things. Hassle-free. It's the thing that we want most. We can't stand waiting in line. The best example of a hassle, how many of you, any of you bought a scissors recently? And it comes in that packaging, which is that plastic. And you're trying to open it up, and you basically need a scissors to open up your scissors. That's an example that the company doesn't understand what hassle-free life is about. We don't want to wait in line, which is why we go on the web. And you know what the single biggest hassle we complain about? Those telephone automated answering systems. Press 1 if you're angry, press 2 if you're whatever. That's an example of communication that absolutely doesn't work. Lifestyle. Lifestyle is great for your summer associates, for the people who just joined the company. If you're 50 and older, you never use the word lifestyle. It's not part of your lexicon. Young people decide where they're going to live based on a lifestyle choice, how much money they want to make versus the quality of life that they want to have. If it's something that applies to people under age 30, lifestyle is at the core of it. If it's something over age 50, now they'll understand the phrase on the right-hand side, the good life. The good life means something to them, but it doesn't mean something to people who are younger. And so some of these words apply by gender, some of them apply by age. And by the way, there is such a difference in communication. Gender. And I have to give you this example. Men want to speak. Women want to be heard. And there is a huge difference. When there is a conflict, for those of you who are married or been through relationships, when a man and a woman has a conflict, the guy will yell. And she will say, I've heard enough of this. And she'll walk out the door. He'll continue yelling. She'll walk outside the house. He's still yelling. She's into the car, into the next state, calling one of you to sue him. He's still yelling. When he's got it out of his system, he stops. She will stop not only in mid-sentence, she'll stop in mid-syllable the moment that he leaves her presence. Because she is much more focused on how he hears the words. He is much more focused on merely speaking them. And this matters in terms of communication because men and women don't collect information the same way.